Friends, welcome back to Pathfinder IS. We will be taking 10 questions from question number 51 to question number 60, and we will start with the first question of the day. Just wait. Okay, the first question is, consider the following statements about PVTGs in India, particularly vulnerable tribal groups in India. Now we will read first statement. PVTGs reside in 18 states and 1 union territory. Now the first statement is factual. It says that PVTGs are in 18 states and 1 union territory. Now for time being, if you don't have exact knowledge, we will keep this statement pending. We will read second statement. A stagnant or declining population is one of the criteria. It is talking about one of the criteria, not the only criteria. It says that stagnant and declining population is one of the criteria. So this is general statement. As usual, you know, PVTGs in various states, their main concern is their declining population, especially in Nicobar and Andaman and Nicobar Island. Various tribes like Jarwa, they are declining, their population is declining. So this is a general statement, it should be right. So accordingly, remove one of the option, that is option number D. Then come to third. There are 95 PVTGs officially notified in the country so far. Now this is factual statement, like statement number 1. So you need to think about whether there are 95 or more or less than 95 PVTGs in India. For time being, we will move to next statement. Irula and Konda Reddy tribes are included in the list of PVTGs. Now we from our general understanding, the second statement is right. That is the only fact that we have as of now. Now we have to think about first, third and fourth. Now in general, you know that PVTGs are found in one of the union territory, that is Andaman and Nicobar. So with that fact, you can take statement 1 as right. Okay, if you do that, this option goes. Now you have two answers, 1 to 3 and 1 to 4. Now in general, if you read India Air book, there is a chapter on welfare schemes, and in that chapter under the welfare ministry, scheduled tribes are covered extensively. There PVTG, there is a special focus on PVTGs, how many are there, how they are identified, and they have mentioned that there are 75 PVTGs. So you can remove 3. Answer is C. If you directly know this fact, statement 3, in general many people know, especially the people having anthropology as an optional, or the people with sociology as an optional, they directly know this fact. So this question is very easy for them. Remove statement 3, you will get answer 3 gone, only C 1 to 4 as an answer. Come to next question. With reference to Constitution of India, prohibition or limitations or provisions contained in ordinary laws can't act as prohibition or limitations on the constitutional power under Article 142. It could mean which of the following? Now read the question thoroughly. Now it is talking about Article 142. Even if you didn't comprehend well about what has been mentioned in this whole paragraph, like you are unable to understand, or if it is taking more time, stick to Article 142. It is about 142, and in general you know that Article 142 is related to Supreme Court. That's it. Just Look for Supreme Court in your answer. B. Supreme Court of India is not constrained in its exercise of its power by laws made by Parliament. That's it. Just no need to waste your time in doing the steps. You need to understand that is needed, but even if you don't understand the meaning, the crux of this whole paragraph, even with this article 142 you could have easily solved this question in list of time. Okay, in none of the other option Supreme Court, even judiciary is mentioned. Here the first statement it is talking about election commission, in second statement it is regarding Supreme Court, in the third statement third option it is talking about financial emergency, in the fourth it is talking about state legislature. So, and even if if you have general understanding of our constitution, it is quite clear that from article 142 to 148 these all articles are related to Supreme Court of India. Clear? We'll move to next question. With reference to Legislative Assembly of a state in India, consider the following statement. It is talking about assembly in a state. The first, the governor makes a customary address to members of the house at the commencement of the first session of the year. It's true both in case of parliament as well as state legislature. In case of parliament, the president makes the customary address at the first session of each year as well as the first session of the newly constituted parliament. The same applies with the state legislature. The governor makes such address at the start of new session of every year and the newly constituted legislative assembly. So first statement is true. Accordingly, you can directly remove two options. Come to second. When the state legislature does not have a rule on a particular matter, it follows Lok Sabha on that matter. Now, this statement you may think that the state legislature follows Lok Sabha, but in general, the speaker of that house has supreme role in that house at that time. So, wherever that house doesn't have a specific rule, in that case the speaker's decision is final. So it doesn't necessarily follows the Lok Sabha rule. So second is wrong. The answer is A. Now this question, such a huge question, it may take at least 1 minute to comprehend. Okay, so in that case, these questions, now it's a completely factual question. The first statement says that United Nations Convention Against Corruption has a protocol against smuggling of migrants by land, sea and air. Now firstly you need to know what is UNCAC. Then you need to know how many protocols are there, and you have to ensure whether such a protocol is there or not in that convention. So the first statement is quite difficult to understand. Then to think about whether it is right or wrong is the next thing. Come to second. UNCAC is first ever legally binding global anti-corruption instrument. Now, as we have discussed in statement 1, you need to have a factual understanding, complete knowledge about UNCAC. Without that, you won't know whether it is the first legally binding instrument or before that any other binding instrument was there or not. Come to third, a highlight of the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime is the inclusion of a specific chapter aimed at returning assets to their rightful owners from whom they have been taken illicitly. Now here you need to know about UNTOC. Then you have to have understanding of specific chapter. Now United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, UNODC, is mandated by its member states to assist in implementation on both UNCSC and UNTOC. Now, looking at the question, now just think how much time you need to solve this question. Firstly, you don't know, in general, you don't know what UNCSC, what UNTOC, and what is UNODC. If you don't know anything, please avoid this question because it will take a lot of time. Even if it takes time, you are not sure whether the whatever answer you have chosen is right or wrong. So why to waste our time as well as our marks? So a safe thing here could be to leave this question. Okay, and in general the answer keys have given answer like 2, 4, C or B, like 2, 3, 4, 2 and 4, but we don't know the exact answer. Only UPSC's official answer key will give you exact answer. We'll move to next question. As per the recent amendment to the Indian Forest Act 1927, forest dwellers have right to fell bamboos grown on forest area. Now in general this is a wrong statement because the government in its recent amendment said that the bamboos grown on non-forest areas can be harvested and not the bamboos on the forest areas. Okay, official forest. Even if you think logically, let us say you have tiger reserve and the core of tiger reserve. If it is true, then you can directly go into the core of tiger reserve and fell bamboos there. But this is not true. Okay, so even if you don't have sufficient knowledge, think in terms of logic. As a human, if I have right to fell a tree in the forest area, then I will go into forest, I will fell the tree. Will this be allowed? Especially in case of tiger national parks, tiger reserves, wildlife, the biosphere reserves. So think logically. First statement is wrong in that way. A is wrong, D is wrong. Now we will come to second. As per the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006, bamboo is a minor forest produce. Yes, the act, Forest Right Act says that bamboo is of minor forest produce, and that's why that can be harvested by the traditional dwellers as well as the tribes living in that area. The second statement is right. Come to third. The same act, Forest Right Act 2006, allows ownership of minor forest produce to the forest dwellers. That is also true. This act is extensively covered in India Air Book. Just read the chapter on welfare schemes as well as the chapter on environment and forest. There you will get a lot of knowledge regarding these acts. So the 2 and 3 both are right. Answer is B. Now question number 56. Which article of the Constitution of India safeguards one's right to marry to the person's one choice? Whenever someone forces their son or daughter to marry a child of their choice or opposes to their marriages, everyone says it's my right, it's my liberty, it's my freedom. And the article 21 is directly related with our freedom of life and personal liberty to do what I want to do. When I am adult, I have right to do what I want to do, and marriage comes under this right. Article 21. Hadia Kiss is there from Kerala. Okay, question number 57. Consider the following statements. Now, according to the Indian Patent Act, biological process to create a seed can be patented in India. Now, let us say you don't know about this statement. Okay, we will move to next statement. In India, there is no intellectual property appellate board. Now, in general, this is an extreme statement. Firstly, intellectual property is a legal issue, and people file cases for their people file applications for their patents, trademarks, and whenever they have problem with the administration, they can file a case against them in the appellate body. And appellate jurisdiction is must in case of such issues. So in general, even if you don't have knowledge of, even if you have direct knowledge, direct fact about this, whether it is right or wrong, but in general think in terms of we need to have appellate bodies to solve the issues of the people. Trademark, patent, IPR, these are all issues. If an applicant finds any problem, he can move to appellate body. So second statement is wrong. Accordingly remove option B and D. Now come to third. Plant varieties are not eligible to be patented in India. Now think of statement 1 and statement 3. Both are contradictory. Statement 1 says that plant varieties or biological process to create a seed. What is seed? It's like a plant variety. A biological process to create a seed can be patented. It says it can be patented, and third statement says that it can't be patented. So both can't be true at the same time. Right? Both can't be true at the same time. Remove A. Now you will get answer. Okay, this is like even if you don't have exact knowledge, you can solve some questions, but for that you need an overall understanding of the various current happenings around you. Okay, now question number 58. Consider the following statements. The Environment Protection Act 1986 empowers the government of India to. Now just understand the context of 1986 Environment Protection Act. Just before that there was a disaster in Bhopal. Methyl isocyanate. Bhopal gas leakage had happened and many people had died there. So at that time the overall management of chemical disasters was by state governments. Now it was realized that the state governments have don't have capacity to deal with these things. Central government came with a law to make sure that all the important decisions are taken by it and implemented by the states. Now read the first statement. State the requirements of public participation in the process of environment protection and procedure and manner in which it is sought. Okay, we will come to let us say we are doubtful about statement 1. We will come to second. Lay down the standards and emission or discharge of the environment pollutants from various sectors. So this second provision is there in the act. The first, public participation. The first statement in general is confusing. Many answer keys says that first is right. Many answer keys also says that the first is wrong. So in that case the answer could be either B or C. So we don't know exact answer till the time UPSC releases the key. This ambiguity will continue. So after UPSC answer key comes, it will be clear for us which is the right answer. We will move to next question. As per the solid waste management rules 2016 in India, which one of the following statement is correct? Now in 2016 there were so many rules that the environment ministry came up with. Solid waste management rule, e-waste rule, plastic rule, then building waste management rules. So many rules were brought down by the government, and along with it many new ideas did come into picture. Okay, now accordingly with solid waste management rules there are 4 statements, 4 options, and we have to choose which among them is right. Now firstly, understand the exact meaning of solid waste. Solid waste is the waste which which is created in our urban households, especially in urban it is produced in rural areas as well, but urban area have major problem. Okay, now we will read option A. Waste generator has to segregate waste into 5 categories. Now many of us live in urban areas. Those who are preparing in Delhi, they are living in Delhi since 2-3 years, and many of aspirants actually prepare themselves in urban areas. Some may be living in Pune, Bangalore, Delhi, Nagpur. We are residents somewhere in a particular flat. Have you ever segregated waste into 5 categories? No. Think logically, it is very difficult for us to segregate waste into 5 categories. In general, whenever an announcement is done by the municipal authority, it is always dry waste, wet waste and other. In that way, 3 category, 2 category, 3 category. None of them actually say that as a landowner, as a resident of a particular flat, you are supposed to segregate waste in 5. It is quite cumbersome for us. So the first statement is, in that logic, is wrong. If you see the policy directly, it says only in 3 category. The rules are applicable to notified urban local bodies, notified town and industrial township only. So before 2016 solid waste management rule, the rules were applicable only for urban areas, but in this particular 2016 rules, the rural areas have also been covered, not just these areas, because solid waste is emerging a major problem in all the areas because of our excessive use of plastic and all other solid waste material. Second is wrong as well. Come to third. The rules provide for exact and elaborate criteria for the identification of sites for landfill and waste processing facility. Now it may happen that you may not be sure about this fact. We will come to next. It is mandatory on part of waste generator that the waste generated in one district can't be moved to another district. Now take the case of Mumbai. Mumbai in itself is a single district, one district, and the neighboring district to it is Raigad as well as Thane. Now suppose if such a rule is there, and Mumbai has a daily production of more than maybe 1000 tons of waste daily. If there is a restriction on movement of waste from Mumbai to Thane, then where will we dump that waste? For example, let us say the landfills in Mumbai got filled completely. Now they want to dump the waste. Where will they waste? Where will they dump that waste? So think logically. This condition can't be fulfilled. If it is a rule, it has to be universal. There are no exceptions. But Mumbai and many other places are exceptions. Let us say take example of Delhi. Tomorrow, if the landfills in Delhi get filled, where will they dump that waste? District borders are district is a very small area. Okay, the fourth is wrong logically. Then simply the answer will be C. We will come to the last question of the day. Consider the following statement. As per the Industrial Employment Standing Orders, Central Amendment Rules 2018. Now this order was very well in the news because the Modi government has come with these these rules for the casual laborers and the seasonal laborers, so that they may get some advantages of some securities like pension, then PF and other leaves and other securities. Now the first statement, it says, if rules for fixed term employment are implemented, it becomes easier for the firm or companies to lay off workers. If you think in terms of, let us say, entrepreneur, now you are a businessman, you always want to have a labor in a way that you should get a liberty to lay off them as you want. You don't want a fixed term employee, like a employee who is permanently with you. because it all depends on your business. If it is going well, you will hire many people. If it doesn't go, you can remove the people which you think that they are not efficient enough. So that was the dilemma for the government. Government wanted to ensure rights to the labor, and at the same time it wanted to give freedom to the employers. So in that case, fixed term employment rules means what? The employer will give them a fixed term employment. In that time, the employees will get benefits. But if the employer wants to remove them, he can remove them. Okay, the first statement is right. Come to second. No notice of termination of employment shall be necessary in the case of temporary workmen. As usual, many of us have worked in the firms, industries, companies. We know that temporary workers are not given notice period. Okay, the fixed employees, they get notice period of 1 month, 2 months, but it is not the case with temporary workers. Even if you don't have exact knowledge of this rule, the second statement you can easily solve by your general understanding. Okay, temporary worker, like let us say in your flat there is a cook, some domestic help. Do you give notice period to that person? Okay, the second statement is also right. Then answer is C. Thank you folks. Please do share, subscribe and comment on Pathfinder IAS. Please visit Pathfinder IAS. Till then, thank you. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.